Hello, everyone. Well, first of all, thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be with you in the 10th International Workshop on Advances in Clean Air Production. I'd like to talk about some ideas we have on sustainability and how to evaluate if we are going in the same direction. Well, when I've read this sentence from Victor Hugo, who was, of course, not talking about sustainability, I got the impression that it would fit so many things, including sustainability. We all might think that we know what sustainability is about and may have a definition in mind. But after all, what is sustainability? Uh, when we talk about sustainable companies, sustainable products, I always get confused and a little bit worried. What are we talking about? Is it possible for a product, for a company, or even a country to be sustainable? And more questions arise. Sustainability for how long? Sustainability of whom? Sustainability of what? What are we talking about? Well, and then we imagine our individual future and that of the human society as sustainable, and so sustainability as something to be constructed and therefore before action. So we have to act. But most of us act based on our culture, our previous knowledge, sometimes religion, sometimes our own prejudice. So we have, even without noticing, a mental model that defines for us how the world works or should work. Uh, and we unconsciously build models. This model tells us what is going on now. This model tells us which future actions are required. And if it is a good model, which will be the possible consequences of these actions. But most of us are programmed to operate by thinking linear in a cause-way effect. The notion is that if we keep doing something, we will get the same effect. We increase the cause, we get again the same effect. We repeat the cause and get more of the same effect in a linear way. But we forget that these systems keep demanding more resources, more energy, and that we drain the environment energy and its ability to supply the demanded resource. The way we understand the world guides our actions and define our relationship with the environment, especially if we are pursuing sustainability. If we think and make actions in a simple linear way of cause and effect, we are likely to be surprised in a bad way pretty often. So, and this is how unintended consequences arise. We have a simple model that disregards a lot of complexities of the real world. If disregarding complexities of the real world may imply that also that productivity and profitability will go down if we see the ability of the environment to handle the extra work. So if our activities grow so high in a way that to exceed the environment to adapt to this new situation, then we need to go back and think. Well, in this search for that something that we understand, but it seems we cannot define properly, we have several ideas and strategies that intend to contribute to this transition from here now to a sustainable world. For more than 50 years, science has been developing tools and strategies to contribute to sustainable development. And at the end of the last century, many ideas have emerged and many ideas were applied. Each one of these ideas is based on a mental model of what the world would be like and what sustainability should be. And we can talk about recycling programs, pollution prevention, eco-efficiency, cleaner production. But in the end, we already saw that all of them alone, despite contributing to sustainability, were not enough. At the same time, it's very encouraging to see how these ideas are expanding and interconnected. So we see the appearance of new ideas as blue economy, green economy, fuel nexus, circular economy. All these ideas use all the tools that we've been developing in the past 50, 60 years, as recycling, refurbishing, manufacturing, prolonging the useful lives of products, design for environment, product development, and so on and so on and so on. So in this perspective, I'm very, very optimistic because we have the knowledge and we have the tools that of course can be further developed and refined, but we have the tools. So we have all these tools and all these ideas, but we still have different paths to proceed. To put in motion all these ideas that we already have, we still must decide what world do we want. We can choose conventional solutions, that is continuing to as we were without drastic or radical transformations, although we know that this path, most driven by market forces, led us to climate change, inequalities, hunger, and so many other problems. But even in this old world, we can find opportunities to improve. So policy reform with governments leading efforts to green the economy, eradicate poverty should be a better option. It is feasible in principle, but is it enough? We should also opt for a transition, a completely new world, seeking for new values, new institutions, institutions that treasure quality of life, human solidarity, and environmental sustainability. This transition should involve a lot of things. Our values, we have to abandon consumerism, individualism, our idea to dominate nature. We will need governance, building partnerships at all levels. At the social level, we have to act ensuring rights, eradicating poverty, and celebrating diversity. Demographics is also important. We have to stabilize population and create sustainable communities. We have to make economy as a means of serving people and preserving nature and not otherwise. And we can rely on developed technologies, renewable resources, the tools and strategies that we already know, and so on. And for this, we have a lot of accumulated knowledge, but we have also to embrace systems thinking and changing the way we see the world. But still, for this new world, we need to deeply know our current world and be able to access and prioritize actions toward sustainability. We have We need tools and assessment methods to monitor and sharply bend these curves and other curves. And to bend these curves, we can rely on a variety of tools that we already developed. Of course, we have to rescue and adapt our mental model for this and be aware of what we are studying, what we are measuring, controlling, and reporting. So there is a need for appropriate models for assessing our actions towards sustainability at the macro, meso, and micro levels. But thinking differently of the way we are used to can be incredibly complicated. Anyway, we all, consciously or unconsciously, have a model in mind that guides our thoughts, our research, our actions. So we have to rely on models, even if they still leave out a lot of things. But these models can identify connections and drivers beyond the simple model to be closer to the real world. And if we are lucky and smart, we will include most of the important factors that will allow us to make some reasonable forecasts. System thinking gives us a way to begin to identify connections and drivers of the outcomes. So we need to think system-wide and need to look for the important relationships of decisions that we are trying to make. So let me introduce you the 5-sector sustainability model, with which our research group is working for a while. The model has 5 sectors addressing the environment and the society as with functions of receivers and suppliers. The environment in sector 1 here has a source function in providing, for instance, materials, energy to the main system. In sector 2, the environment acts as a sink, as the receiver of emissions and wastes generated by our main systems. The same applies to society, that holds the functions of supplier and receiver. Society sector 4 can supply socioeconomic resources such as labor, knowledge, and know-how. And the main system in sector 3 will supply society in sector 5 for all the benefits, or not benefits, but all the benefits such as products, well-being, happiness, and so on. So, with a little help with numerical tools for multidimensional assessments, it's also possible to calculate indicators to take into account the performance of each sector and the trade-offs between sectors, and provide indicators easy to interpret by decision makers and policymakers. It's also possible to assess how improvements in one or more sectors can contribute to the achievement of one or more SDGs due to the interactions and trade-offs existing across them. So, as examples, it's possible to rank companies, but it's also possible to identify areas in which immediate action is needed. The use of this 5 sectors model allows decision making for um, knowing the best available practices across companies in the same year. In this case, for the water wastewater treatment companies in Brazil, this practice involved water savings, improving distribution efficiency, investment for reducing greenhouse gases emissions, or increasing the quantity and the quality of the jobs these companies offer. Uh, it's also possible for the case of these companies to assess the trade-offs between these companies' performances and the management options towards the SDGs or to achieve the SDGs. From companies to sectors, we can also analyze a complete industrial sector. This one is the automotive textile sector in Brazil, and it's clear that till 2010, there was a slight increase in the sector sustainability. But after 2010, there is a sharp decrease of sustainability. This is an ongoing dissertation on an ongoing research, but we can think about the increase in raw materials import, automation, the decrease of the quantity and the quality of jobs. So we can analyze the system in a time series to monitor its performance. But we can go wider. We can evaluate countries. These are the countries of Mercosur, ranked and compared. And again, according to their overall performance and according to their interactions with each sector. So for Mercosur, Uruguay is in the first place in sustainability, but the interaction with the society here, that means the society acting as the receiver of the country's performance, should be improved. For Brazil, fourth place, the relationships of the country with all sectors have potential to be increased. From countries, we can go to economic blocks. So we can go wider and compare the Mercosur with other economic blocks. In this case, the European Union and the Asian bloc. We use it here, the indicators used by circular economy to monitor if actions and policies to enhance circularity should also improve sustainability. So for Europe, there is a gradual increase in sustainability after 2007, I should say. But there is still no evidence that the effect of the circular economy policies after 2010, 2015. Asian and Mercosur are still in the same pace, decreasing sustainability, and mainly because related to the use of non-renewable resources for direct transportation. These results, still partial, again, and ongoing research, also give a hint on the bloc's resilience. Resilience is about enduring and recovering when big surprises occur. In part, it's about bouncing back, but it's also about adapting to new situations. Clearly, to have a system that exists for a long time and has a minimal impact, you have to be able to deal with the unexpected disruptions and maybe even catastrophic events. Sustainability is linked to resilience in a number of ways. And when we reduce material use, energy use, we help make the system less vulnerable, more resilient to sudden shocks. Another concept that appears uh, in these discussions is ingenuity and innovation. Well, developing a culture that embraces innovation and respects people contribution will allow to step forward and help when things are failing apart. So we need to innovate the way we see the world. Of course, we have to remember that over time, the world will change and our model will become less accurate. And of course, we will have to adapt our model to the real world and not otherwise. We can contribute in several ways. And we cannot forget that our system is inserted in the planet and that small actions can turn in leverage points or not. So sometimes small shifts, small contributions in one thing can produce big changes in everything, for the good or for the bad.